This is page 326. This is the Module 11 test review. This is the second part. We're going to do most of this page, but not all of it. Number 1, selected response. Kate has gone up to the chalkboard to do math problems 5 more times than Andre. Kate has gone up 11 times. Which equation represents this situation? So here's some important things. She's gone up 5 more times, and that is going to be equal to 11. So which of these show that it's going to be equal to 11? Well, it looks like it's going to be either C or D, because we know it's going to be equal to 11. And which one would be 5 more times? Well, Kate's gone up 5 more times than Andre, and A would represent Andre. So if you had Andre and then you added 5, that would get Kate, which is 11. The answer here is D. All right, let's move on. We are on number 2. Number 2, for which equation is 7 a solution? So what I would do here is I would put 7 in for all of the variables, and which one of those would be true. So for A, 7 times 7 would be equal to 1. That doesn't make sense. And for B, 18 is equal to 11 plus 7. That is true. Let's do the other ones. 7 plus 7 is equal to 0. That's not true. And 7 divided by 2 is equal to 14. That's almost true. 7 times 2 is equal to 14. But 7 over 2 means 7 divided by. That's not true. The answer is B. We're on number 3. Number 3 says, which is an equation? 17 plus x, 45 divided by x, 20x equals 200, and 90 minus x. So let's say you didn't know what an equation was, and you just looked and did like process of elimination. Which one's different than the rest? C is, because it has an equal sign, and that's what an equation is. The word equation comes from the word equal sign. These A, B, and D are all expressions. A, B, and D are all expressions, but since C has an equal sign, it is an equation. The correct answer to number 3 is C. Number 4 is going to be a skip. This is an inequality problem, and we didn't learn about inequalities because we skipped lesson 11.4, so we're skipping that, and we are moving on to number 5. Number 5 reads, Becca hit 7 more home runs than Beverly. Becca hit 21 home runs. How many home runs did Beverly hit? Well, we know Becca hit 7 more than Beverly, and she hit 21. So 7 plus I don't know would be equal to 21. So what does I don't know have to be? Well, we would solve by subtracting 7. And we would get I don't know, B, by doing 21 minus 7, we'd get 14. The answer is B, 14. And let's go back and reread it. It's always a good idea to reread the question and see if it makes sense. Becca hit 7 more home runs than Beverly, but we think Beverly hit 14, so I'm going to put a 14 there. Becca hit 21. Is 21 7 more than 14? It is. Therefore, the answer is 14. It's B. Let's move on. We're on number 6. Number 6 reads, Jordy spreads out a rectangular picnic blanket with an area of 42 square feet. The area is equal to 42 square feet. Its width is 6. Oops, I'm going to not put a 6, put a W there, I'm going to put a 6 there. Its width is 6 feet. Which equation could you use to find its length? So the length is I don't know. Well, which equation could we use to figure out its length? Well, what we know about area is that you would do the area by doing length times width. And we know the area is 42. And we don't know the length, but we do know the width is 6. And let's say I put an L there. Which of these would look like that? I've got 6 times x is 42. I've got 6 divided by x is 42. That one doesn't make sense. I've got 42 minus x equals 6. That doesn't make sense. I've got 6 plus. That doesn't make sense. The answer is A, 6 times x. I wish they would have chosen L. I wish they would have gone 6 times L is equal to 42, because that makes more sense. Because it would be 6 times the the length is 42. All right, we're on number 7. Number 7 reads, what is the solution to the equation 6t equals 114? 6t equals 114. Well, how do we do this? This is a multiplication equation, and you solve multiplication equations by dividing. So we're going to divide by 6, and these 6's divide out and they cancel. So I've got t equals, and I've got 114 divided by 6. I'm going to do that right here. 6 goes into 11. I didn't give myself enough room. Give myself some more room there. $114 divided by 6. 6 goes into 11 only once. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 goes into 54 9 times because 9 times 6 is 54. And that's one of our options. It's not one of our options. Oh, it's 19. What was I thinking? It's 19. I was thinking 54 down here. It's 19. My quotient is 19. It's t equals 19. It's A. And we could check that by just doing 19 times 6. I need that to be 114 if I'm right. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 is 11. I get 114. It's proof that it's right. Okay, good. We're on number 8. This one's actually kind of tricky, but I'm happy to help you. Number 8 reads, the area of a rectangular deck is 680 square feet. The deck's width is 17 feet. What is this perimeter? So I'm going to put 17 feet here. I also know this distance is 17 feet. I don't know this one, and I don't know this one. I could call them L's or I could call them question marks. So we know the area, and what we're trying to do is figure out the perimeter. So what do I do first? Well, in order to get this unknown down here, this distance right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula that area can be found by doing length times width. And I know the area is 680. And I know the width is 17, and I don't know the length. Well, how do I find the answer to a multiplication problem when I have to work backwards? I divide. So I'm going to divide by 17. I'm going to do 680 divide by 17, and I think that's 4. 17, I'm going to check 17 times 4 real quick. 17 times 4 is 28, and 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. It's 4 exactly. 4 times 17 is 68, and I get 0, and 17 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 17 is 0, so it's 40. So what I now know is that this dimension is 40 feet, and that this dimension is 40 feet. So now I know the area, and I know that I'm just going to double check real quick. The area would be 40 times 17 is 680. Good. So why did I put a 40 here and a 40 here? Well, it's because what perimeter means is that you add up the distance around the outside. So if I add this to this to this to this, I'm going to get the perimeter. And there's different ways to do that. You could literally do 40 plus 17, 40 plus 17, or you could do just a faster way. You could do 40 plus 17 is 57. And then I could just multiply that by 2, because if this is 57, then we know that this is 57. So you could do 57 times 2. And 57 times 2 is 114. 7 times 2 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. I get 114. The answer is C. All right, we're going to do one more problem. We're going to start the mini task, but we're actually only going to do part of it. And the reason why is because we didn't learn about inequality, so we can't really do B. So what I'm actually to do is to write skip on B and C, and just do A. And we're just going to do 9A. All right, 9 reads, Sylvia earns $7 per hour at her after-school job. After working 1 week, she received a paycheck for $91. Write and solve an equation to find the number of hours Sylvia worked to earn $91. So I hope you recognize and can envision this as she makes $7 per hour. We don't know how many hours she worked, but we do know that she made a total of $91. If we knew the amount of hours to get her amount of money, we would do 7 times that number, and it would be equal to 91. How do you solve a multiplication equation? You divide. So I'm going to divide by 7, and I'm going to divide by 7. I'm going to get H equals, and 91 divided by 7. 7 goes into 9 once. 7 goes into 21 3 times. I think it's 13. I can check that by going 13 times 7. If it's 91, I got it right. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. It's 91. The answer is 13 hours. Okay, great job. You are now done with page 326, and you are ready for the Module 11 test.